U.S. Citizenship Test, Part 6. The Power of the Constitution.
The winter air was crisp and biting as Mark walked to the community center for what he knew would be one of his final sessions with Anne. He had come so far, learning about the rights and responsibilities of citizenship, the institutions that protect those rights, and the ways in which citizens participate in shaping their government. The test was approaching fast, but more than that, Mark could feel himself transforming, not just into someone who could pass a test, but into a future citizen, ready to uphold and defend the values that had been instilled in him. As he entered the study room, Anne was waiting, her familiar stack of papers in front of her. Her smile was warm, but there was a sense of gravity in the air today.
Mark, it's good to see you again. You've come a long way, and today we're going to focus on something that ties everything together. The power of the Constitution. It's the document that makes all of these rights and responsibilities possible.
I've been thinking about the Constitution a lot lately. It seems like everything we've talked about goes back to it.
That's exactly right. The Constitution isn't just a set of rules. It's the foundation that supports the entire system of government. Today, we'll dig deeper into how it works and why it's so important. Question: what is the purpose of the Constitution? A. To set up the government. B. To write laws for every state. C. To create taxes.
Answer A. To set up the government.
Correct. The Constitution lays out the framework for how the federal government works and establishes the separation of powers between the branches. Why do you think having a written constitution is important for a country?
I think it's because it gives clear guidelines. Without it, people in power could make things up as they go, and that could lead to abuse or confusion.
Exactly. The Constitution provides a stable structure and ensures that no one branch of government becomes too powerful. It also outlines the rights of the people, which means those in power can't take those rights away without going through the proper legal processes.
Mark had always known the Constitution was important, but now he saw it as the backbone of everything. It was more than just an old document. It was the foundation of order and fairness, protecting citizens and preventing the government from becoming tyrannical.
Let's talk next about how the Constitution can adapt to changes. It's a living document, and that's one of the reasons it's lasted for over 2 centuries. Question: what is one way the Constitution can be changed? A. By executive order. B. By passing an amendment. C. By Supreme Court ruling.
Answer B. By passing an amendment.
That's right. The amendment process allows changes to be made to the Constitution, but it's deliberately difficult to ensure that changes are carefully considered. Why do you think it's important that the process to amend the Constitution is challenging?
I think it's because the Constitution is the foundation of the country. If it were too easy to change, people might make rash decisions that could weaken it.
Exactly. The founders made sure that while the Constitution could evolve, it wouldn't be easily altered by passing trends or temporary political pressures. This ensures that the core principles of the nation remain strong while allowing for necessary adaptations over time.
Mark thought about how much had changed since the Constitution was first written, and yet the document remained relevant. It was flexible enough to meet the challenges of modern times, but strong enough to hold fast to the principles that had guided the country since its founding.
Now, let's turn to one of the ways the Constitution protects individual rights, the separation of powers. Question: what is the separation of powers? A. Dividing power between the federal and state governments. B. Dividing the government into 3 branches. C. Dividing power between the military and the police.
Answer B. Dividing the government into 3 branches.
That's correct. The separation of powers divides the federal government into the executive, legislative, and judicial branches, each with its own responsibilities. Why do you think this separation is important?
I think it's to prevent any one branch from becoming too powerful. If all the power were concentrated in one place, it could lead to corruption or dictatorship.
Exactly. By separating powers, each branch can check the other, making sure that decisions are balanced and that no single part of the government controls everything. It's one of the key features that protects democracy and ensures that the government serves the people, not itself.
Anne placed her papers aside, signaling that the session was nearing its end. Mark felt the weight of everything he had learned: the rights, the responsibilities, and now the Constitution that held it all together. He was almost there, just a few steps away from becoming a part of this system he had come to admire.
You've done amazing work, Mark. The Constitution isn't just a set of rules, it's the framework that makes everything else possible. And now you understand how it all fits together.
Thank you, Anne. It's incredible to see how everything goes back to the Constitution. I feel like I'm really ready now.
You are, and soon you'll be a citizen, part of the system you've worked so hard to understand.
As Mark left the study room, a sense of accomplishment settled over him. The sky was darkening with early winter's dusk, and the air was cold against his skin. But inside, he felt a warmth, a sense of readiness. The Constitution, the rights and responsibilities, the checks and balances, all of it had led him to this moment. Soon, he would take his test, and he knew he would be prepared not just to pass, but to carry the values he had learned with him into his new life as a citizen. As Mark reflects on the power and importance of the Constitution, consider this: how does the separation of powers protect the country from having too much power concentrated in one branch of government?
Question for the audience: what principle prevents one branch of government from becoming too powerful? A. Federalism. B. Checks and balances. C. Judicial review. Understanding how checks and balances work is key to understanding how the government protects freedom, and ensures accountability.
Here are 5 words and phrases related to the theme of U.S. Citizenship Test. Part 6. The power of the Constitution.
Constitution, the foundational document that sets up the U.S. government and outlines the rights of its citizens. Amendment, a formal change or addition to the Constitution. Separation of powers, the division of government responsibilities into 3 branches: executive, legislative, and judicial. Checks and balances, a system that allows each branch of government to limit the powers of the others to prevent any one branch from becoming too powerful. Framework, a basic structure underlying a system, concept, or text that provides support or guidance.